Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christine from Secret Garden, Mercantile, and Country Brocante, and I'd like to welcome you to the very first of what will be weekly sessions here on YouTube and also here in my studio. And we're calling it the Thursday Atelier, which is actually a French term. Atelier is a French term for a studio or workshop that an artist or designer does their work in. And I'm here at Secret Garden Lavender and Herb Farm, which is my lavender farm that my husband and I run, and here in Seabeck, Washington. And I'm holding these sessions here in my potting shed, which is also my studio here. So I can't wait to get started. Each week I'm going to try to offer some new ideas for inspiration for simple projects that you can make, and try to give you some in-depth instruction on how to do the projects with the supplies and products that we have available here in our shop. The first one today is going to be focusing on some of the components of the IOD, Iron Orchid Designs Holiday Release 2025, which just came out, and those are available here. So without further ado, we'll get started, and I'll turn the camera down. Okay, we're going to get started now, and I'm going to be using, I chose the beautiful Iron Orchid Designs Transfer Christmas Joy, which has 8x12 sheets with all kinds of wonderful kind of retro designs, and it's just really kind of a neat transfer. I thought I would try to kind of replicate this little box that I saw on the back of the IOD labeling for the product on the back of the transfer, because it's just so delightful. And it looks like it'll work for my project. In order to do that, I actually purchased some of these boxes. They're, I think, 12-inch long boxes from Michael's, and I tried this to see if it would work before the start of the video, and it went on pretty well. So I'm going to be actually using these little legs because I want my box to be elevated. And I'm going to screw some of these on the box. And so let me show you how I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to just put a little hole in the, oop, that one didn't work so well with my little screwdriver because it slipped. But I'm going to go ahead and try to put some little screw holes in here. At least I'm going to try to do that. Some little starter holes anyway. There it goes. To guide my screws when I go ahead and put them in. They're just tiny little screws, so I want to use that in order to be able to get them started easily. So there's that. A couple little starter holes to go in. Here's one of the screws. I have to get some more here out of my bag. They're just, like I said, tiny little things, so it's kind of hard to hold on to them. But I have this other little mini screwdriver too, and I would say that getting a set of these is always helpful, especially when you're doing small projects. So I'm going to go ahead and just screw this in. Oops, I'm not the best with the screwdriver. I don't know why, but I never have been. But I just persevere. Try to hold it in place anyway. So, all right, and then put in at least another one so you can get the idea here. And the reason why I want to put these on in advance is because I'm going to do some painting on this box, and it's going to be kind of a dry brush technique is what I visualized anyway, to kind of get the look of the box that we're trying to do. And so it's important to do put the legs on in advance. And so that's what I'm doing, because I want to be able to, once the box is painted, I want to be able to paint the legs as well, all in one swoop. And I don't want to have to come back, then put on the legs and redo. So I'm going to put the video on hold while I put the rest of the legs on, and then I'll come. All right, we're all set, and I've got all the legs on there. I manhandled them with the screwdriver eventually, and I thought I did better on the fourth one with a little practice. But anyway, so now we're going to get ready. I'm just going to use a little chip brush And I'm using a paint called Porch Swing. It's a really nice kind of a creamy off-white that is from the Amy Howard at Home line of paints that we do have available here at our shop. And it is the one-step paint. And I'm just going to put a little bit, squirt a little bit out here so that I can do some dry brushing. And the way I do the dry brushing is that I use the paintbrush. I use just a little chip brush. Whoops, my drill is falling apart here, so I'm going to put that back together and put it aside. I'm just going to use a little chip brush to do it. And the way that I do it is I use the paint here, and I put a little bit on the brush, not too much, and then I offload it onto some sort of paper before I get started, okay? And I think I'm gonna start on the ends of it because I don't wanna, I wanna see how much I've got on my brush when I start off with instead of putting it right on the front, so directly. And so then if you go ahead and use it with a light touch, you'll see how you don't get that much paint on it, but it still gives that really pretty effect that you're looking for the vintage look. So again, a little more dry brush paint here, and that's a little on the heavy side, and as you can see, the edges still look dark from the stain that was on the wood, and so it gives it a nice effect. Again, a nice vintage effect, kind of a distressed look almost to it. So I'm going to trust myself now with the amount I have on my brush and go ahead and get started on the front of the box. A little more paint there and get going. And just going to go ahead and paint that whole front of it. You just don't need too much paint on your brush, and that's the key thing, and that's why you offload it onto the paper. So I just use a sheet of craft paper on my workspace so that I can always offload onto the craft paper. And it kind of gives it that nice antique look. There you go. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the other sides of it, and then we'll come right back. Okay, we're back to doing it live now. So I just want to tell you, please forgive the noise of my husband driving the tractor in the background. He's going to be doing that for a little bit. But so here I'm just going ahead and painting a little bit across the top of the piece because I want it to be also the dry brushed white look. I'm going to leave the inside stained. I don't think it needs to be painted. So that's kind of a lucky attribute of these boxes. That's why I get them stained. You know, I find that if I buy the stained ones, sometimes you might think, oh yeah, I'll buy the natural wood ones, but then you have to paint or stain every surface. And if you can find them stained, that's great. Now, sometimes I want to use a different type of stain on them. So then I go ahead and get the natural ones, and I can then choose whichever ones I want to go ahead and buy. I mean, the ones that I want to buy, and then choose the stain that I want to use, excuse me. I get painting and I'm just not thinking much because I enjoy the painting part of it. So you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. And then on these little feet, I'm going to go ahead and just sort of paint over them a little bit. And I tried to paint the inside a little bit on the back too, because I don't want it to be real obvious. So give a little squiggle. That's why these inexpensive chip brushes are so nice to use for these type of jobs, because you can really dab them in there and not have to worry about ruining your good brushes. That's why I like them. So, okay. So that is that. On that part, I believe I do have a couple little bristles in here, so I'm going to try to get those out of there and then give a little swipe over. But there is the front, and it looks, I think that's the front. I can't decide if I'm going to use that as the front or not. Maybe this is the front. It has a little smoother finish. Not sure. I want to add a little bit of paint to that, I think, so that the brush strokes aren't quite so obvious. They were all kind of swooping in one direction, and I'd rather have them just look a little less prominent. Okay, so there we go, and then we'll go on to the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this with my hair dryer. You can use a heat gun too if you'd like, but I just want to give it a good dry before we try putting the transfer on. So that's what I'm going to do next. Done my drying. Hopefully that'll be enough drying. And I'm going to put a piece of paper over this paint on my, just put a piece of paper over my work surface so I don't get into any paint there. And then I'm just going to sand a little bit on this. Again, a little distressing where I want it to blend in a little more. Give it a light sand so that it's nice and smooth. And then I'm going to use a nice clean lint-free rag to wipe that off, because we want it very, very clean when we apply our transfer. Next step is to get the transfer ready. So I'm going to go ahead in here. Oh, this is lovely. I think my little tag got stuck on it. Anyway, we're going to go ahead, and I've already picked out the transfer that I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead with that and find it. It's this this pretty little scene here. It looks like maybe a mill, I'm not sure, but anyway, and it's on the edge of a river, but it's the perfect size for this. I could also use this little Merry Christmas with the Children, and that would be really pretty too. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go with here. And then do the one they used was this one. It's kind of that, that's an awfully pretty one. This is a little more Victorian, and I'm not sure if it has too much foo-foo for me. I think I'd rather use the cottage looking one. So I'm going to just go ahead and cut out around my transfer, and you can cut in relatively close to it. It doesn't require, excuse me, much in the way of a shadow to be able to stick. So that's the nice thing about these transfers. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. And then I'm going to need to position it on my piece. And if I were wise, which I'm trying to be more so, I would measure my piece here. And it is actually right at 12 inches. So 6 inches is going to be the middle of the transfer. Nicely, they've got it nicely centered here. And they have the grid lines, which are really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that very carefully so that it doesn't show up, but I can always kind of sand it out of there if I need to. but so that I know where I am. And the other thing you can do is actually put a little piece of tape there to hold it. So we might do that as well, just to position it while we're doing our project. I've got this frog tape, which is very removable, and it's a painter's tape, and it works really well. So what we'll do is we'll just take a little dab of that and put it on here so that that is positioned, and then we don't have to worry about it, and we'll know where we're going to be putting things. Okay, so that's that, and then we need our other little pieces. And let's see if I can find those. Oh, I must have missed them leafing through here before. So let's see. Oh, there they are. Okay, so I'm going to pull this sheet out so that I have a better angle on it when I'm cutting. And then we're going to go ahead and put these. I believe that the way they had it was on the bottom, and I think that looked really good. By the way, those are my dogs barking in the background, and it sounds like they're really excited about somebody here. It looks like we have a guest at the farm. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut these out now to get them ready to put on our piece. These are all just so gorgeous, so regardless of which ones you choose, these are such pretty transfers to use. So we're going to go ahead and get them cut out. And generally speaking, with the Amy Howard, the one-step paint, you can usually use the transfer right over it. We'll have to see how it goes, because this wood is a little bit on the it sucks it right up into the wood, you know, the paint. So so we'll have to see how it is as far as the seal to it. So we'll see if it works. But okay, I'm going to just position my transfer, and then I'm going to go ahead and take off the backing of the transfer, which is what you do. And then once we get an idea of where we want it to be, we really need to position it and just hold it in place. That's what we need to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and start rubbing on it and gradually pulling it away as I rub the transfer into place. And I always want to be watching on the back of the paper that I'm pulling away and making sure that all the parts of the transfer are actually adhering. So that's really important. While I'm still doing it, I can check it and make sure that it's sticking on it, but later on, once I take it off, this cover sheet off of there, then it's too late to do anything about it. So you want to make sure that you're watching it as you go. And usually with a transfer like this, it seems to be going on really well, and it doesn't require much in the way of pressure, downward pressure for it. So sometimes you can press too hard, thinking that, oh, you have to really press really hard on them, but you don't. You just kind of need to get the transfer started. Now, here's one little part of the leaf that didn't stick. I noticed it. I could feel it with my finger actually on it. So you want to push it back down and make sure it's sticking on to the piece. Okay, is there another one on the end of that? Could be. So always better safe than sorry. So go ahead and check it and make sure that everything's sticking really nicely. We've got some little rough areas down at the bottom here, so I'm making sure that those are, I'm being real careful. And then the other thing is, at the end, when you get to the end, you may find that, oh, just at the very end, you might have missed something, so be real careful with that. Now, I do see that I have a tiny little speck here. Oh, there it is from that area. Now, I'm going to go ahead and try to reposition it because I didn't notice that when I was doing my rubbing. So there we go. We've got it. Now, the other thing to do is once you've got the transfer fully on, you're going to want to go back and just really carefully go over it and burnish it. And I like to kind of do that even with my fingers because I can feel it really well. Make sure your fingers are nice and clean and you don't have any paint on them. But I like that to kind of do it with my fingers because I think it's sometimes sticks less than with the cellophane or the plastic overlay. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one. And I'm doing these first because they're easy to position. And I want to make sure that this looks similar to the other side and is pretty symmetrical. There, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one also the same way. And as you can tell, it's sticking nicely on there, so I'm very excited about this transfer because I think it's going to be just a beauty on here. Yep. As you can see, it's coming right off as I pull it back. Not a problem. And like I said earlier, you can get all of the transfers here at Secret Garden, Mercantile, and Country Brocante. And you can also go on our website, and we have them all listed on there. All of the new releases there. We are an online stockist as well as being an actual brick and mortar stockist here in Seabeck. And we do in-person demos also. If you're in the Seabeck area, you can come in actually for a free demo to see on our Atelier Thursday days. So, and then I'm going to start doing hopefully some Saturday ones also. So that'll be the next step as well. So stay posted. We should have them listed on our website, and also we are on Facebook and Instagram. So please check us out there, and you can see some of the things. And then if you come in person, we can give you a 10% discount off of our off of any vintage finds that you might want to purchase while you're here, because we do have some vintage items as well. So, and we'll be posting those. I'm going to start posting those more on the website as well, so as we collect things. So, all right, I think we're about done. I'm checking this just to make sure that everything looks good before I completely release it. And there it goes, and we're on. Look at that. Oh, I love it. Those are such pretty transfers. Yes. Now this part of the piece works better, I think, the white sheet than the clear to do the burnishing. So I usually use that. It's really smooth. You just don't want to rub so much on it and rub with anything that might pull on it, because that can sometimes happen. Now I'm going to make sure once again that I'm really centered here, and lift up my tape off of it and make sure before I'm going to figure out that this chimney is really in the center. There's a little peak on the tower there, so that'll be my reminder of where to put it. And there we go. I think this will be perfect, and center it on the box as well, because the main thing is once you actually put it down, you're not going to have much time to change your mind. Sometimes it'll come up a little bit if you pull on it, but sometimes it'll tear the transfer apart, and you don't want that to happen. And once you start putting it down, you don't want to take it up. So, all right, we're going to just start pulling the transfer up and see what we're dealing with here. Whoop, it's coming up a little bit, so we got to be careful. You don't want to do it too fast and pull away your transfer from the substrate, whatever you're working on. So you just kind of have to take it at an angle. And this is a solid piece, this transfer, so it's particularly important that you do it carefully. That one was trying to stick to the top there, I noticed as I was pulling it up. So you just go ahead and put it back down and keep rubbing away until you're done with it. Okay, and we're going to be almost done with this. And here we go. Yep, there we go, and it's right on there. All right, and so there is our piece. And then we can go ahead and put some sealer over the top of it as well. But there it is, and I'll show a picture of it in a minute too that shows you what the final piece kind of looks like. All right, I think we've got it, and we've got it all, the transfers all on there. We painted our box, and we've got the legs on. And so this will be a delightful but really easy project for you to use. All right, I'll be back with a finished look and some information for you. I forgot to mention that we are going to put a little sealer on this as well. And so that is going to be some of the matte sealer from Amy Howard at Home that we have here at the Mercantile. And I'm just going to put a light coat of that over the top of the transfer, and then go ahead and I'll dry that with a hairdryer as well to get the project totally finished. All right. Well, thank you so much for bearing with me and watching, and hope this gives you a little inspiration on a quick little project that you can do yourself, and to get started using the new IOD Christmas or holiday 2025 release. All right, hope to see you next Thursday when we do another demo. All right, at the Thursday Atelier. All right, thanks.